Hello everyone, Zadix Squared here, and welcome to Clan Krug. So, GMs are out today, and I'm moving on to my third build that I'm doing with a Renewal Grasps Hunter build. This will be on Stasis, as Renewal Grasps uses Duskfield grenades in order to create a semi-tank build. Basically, it improves your grenade so it has a larger effect radius, and while allies are inside the range of the Duskfield, they take reduced damage, and any enemies that are inside the area deal reduced damage. This means that you can throw it at an enemy, and they're going to do less damage, and then if you run into that area with them, you're going to be taking even less damage from there. You can also throw it at allies in order to help them stay alive, and pairing it together with some stasis aspects and fragments allows you to improve the build even more from there. For this, I'm running Touch of Winter, which is going to improve your Duskfield grenade even more, increasing the slow field size and creating a small stasis crystal on impact. Then, pairing this together with Whisper of Shards, Whisper of Chains, Whisper of Rhyme, and Whisper of Conduction is going to allow you to stand near this stasis crystal that you're creating with your Duskfield grenade to take even less damage, and shattering this stasis crystal will temporarily boost your grenade recharge rate, making it so that you get your Duskfield back faster. Whisper of Rhyme and Whisper of Conduction are going to work together to help you get stasis shards, and once you get these stasis shards, it's going to give you Overshield, which will help you tank a little bit more damage. I'm also running Winter Shroud so that our dodge slows nearby targets. Obviously, I'm running Duskfield Grenade and Withering Blade, as it's the only melee that hunters have. And I'm running Marksman's Dodge in order to help reload our weapon a little bit faster. However, Gambler's Dodge could also be incredibly effective here, as Withering Blade is a really good ranged melee. Weapon-wise, you can go with almost anything that you want. This build is fairly neutral and will work with almost anything that you choose to put with it. I've chosen to go with either Conditional Finality or Arbalest, depending on what activity I'm running, and I can run either my Brigand's Law, or my Icolos, or my Funnel Web, depending on if there's Overload or Barrier, and depending on what I'm running in the kinetic slot. For mods, a combination of Grenade Kickstart, Emergency Reinforcement, and the seasonal artifact mod Shatter Orbs is kind of the core foundation of this build, allowing me to break shields of enemies to create a lot of orbs and then pick them up to be able to have that reserve for the emergency reinforcement in case I get too low to be able to give me some resistance, or whenever I use my grenade to be able to get some more grenade energy back to be able to then throw my grenade a little bit quicker. This build is a fairly neutral build. It's not necessarily incredibly helpful in raid bosses or any boss encounter for that matter, as it doesn't really bring anything to the table damage-wise, but it could be incredibly helpful to be able to give you a little safe zone in case you don't have something like a well or a bubble. You know, if you're doing an all-hunter run in a raid, this build could help you for boss damage to be able to survive a little bit better. Where this build really shines is in normal mechanics encounters and just any ad clear situations. In something like a GM, it's effective to help you kill champions better, and also just deal with the vast amount of ads that might spawn and try and do damage to you. It's going to give you that safe zone to be able to either run up on a champion to be able to finish them, or drop at the feet of your allies to be able to give them a little bit more safety, as it'll give them some resistance. My suggestion would be to play fairly far back with this build. It is a tank build, but it is a fairly slow tank build. It's not going to enable you to run up in the face of most enemies, especially if there's a lot of them. It's just going to give you a little bit more resistance if something runs up on you. For this reason, stuff like pulses or long-range weapons can be incredibly helpful here, though it could also be used in tandem with something like a glaive in order to let you run up a little bit more and use that glaive for its melee capabilities. This build is also incredibly effective at generating super energy, as you're going to be getting that super energy from using shatter orbs and from killing ads, and it's going to be safe enough using the grenade that you could run up, collect these orbs, get your super up quickly, and throw it down at a group of enemies to deal damage to all of them and clear out a room of more difficult enemies to deal with. It can also help you deal with champions better, since you can throw it on a champion and continuously freeze them. Anyway, that concludes the list of builds that I'm doing specifically for GMs. At this point, I'm going to go back to the normal rotation of more off-meta builds, stuff that people don't really talk about or see ever, and it might not necessarily be GM focused anymore. but I'm sure I'll get back to some builds that are stronger at some point in the future, especially if you guys are looking for stuff like that. With that being said, I've been Zadex Squared. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.